G'day. How is everyone? I feel like everyone needs to kind of stand up and just do a 360 in their chairs. Stand up. Wake up if you're not already. And just actually give someone you're standing next to right now, can you just give them a high five? And acknowledge them for turning up. Yeah, just keep doing it. How about we just do it for like 20 minutes? That'd be awesome. Awesome. Okay, sit down. Fantastic. And as you sit down, acknowledge the woman or gentleman, there's a few of them, next to you, and just say, thank you for showing up tonight to create a life that you fall in love with. Awesome. Okay. Fantastic. Alrighty, so I'm Bella, and I'm standing here tonight in front of what I feel is the most incredibly supportive group of women. Many of you I know, so thank you for showing up, and thank you, Kylie and team, for making this event happen. I'm going to talk about creating a happier self, okay, and I'm going to talk a lot about the process of working on myself to actually step into a life that is authentic to who I am. And the little quote here, work hard and you'll make a living, and work hard on yourself and you'll create a fortune. So this is a quote by Jim Rohn, and I see it every day on my desk, and I look at it and I really think about exactly what we're here on the earth to do, which I think is to create a better version of ourselves every day. A few years ago, these are the predominant experiences of my life. So I was diseased, disconnected, conflicted, confused, lacked meaning. I was depressed. I was very masculine. I was quite serious, and I was very money focused. I think I have some colleagues from my last corporate job in this audience, and I was getting bullied at work as well, so that wasn't helpful. And I ended up having a bit of a meltdown. And I had a bit of a meltdown around the time that my partner decided, after I stepped out of my corporate career, to support him and grow his business. He decided to break up with me. And I don't know, I'm sure everyone's been through a breakup here, but when you've been through a big one and you've given up what you thought was your world and stepped in to support theirs, and shit hits the fan and you get dumped and you have no idea who you are anymore and you're experiencing these feelings, you know like hell that something has to change, right? Put your hand up if you've experienced this. Cool. Most of you, gosh, people haven't put their hand up. You guys should be up here on stage talking about this. Okay, so this was me 2 years ago. And I decided that I had to start to have a bit of a think about how I wanted to feel in my life. So there's all this stuff about setting goals, fantastic. I used to have a shitload of goals. I was so achievement orientated. Ask my mum, she's sitting here in the audience. Like I was like, if I'm not earning 200K by the time I'm 30 in my corporate job and I'm not at this level and I haven't traveled to this many countries, I'm a freaking failure, right? So I was all about the goal, everything, money, everything. And then I actually took a step back when my world was completely broken. And I said, look, I need to create Bella version 2.0. So I started to think about how I wanted to feel. And I put a whole bunch of words down on a piece of paper. And these are them. I wanted to feel healthy, vital, vulnerable. I wanted to have meaning in my life. I wanted to live my life with joy. I wanted to be more feminine because I was really a man, because I was working in a man's job and leading a lot of people, and I was completely out of my feminine. I wanted to be playful. I was very serious back at this time. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be creative because I'm a photographer and I love photography, and ever since I was 18 years old, all I wanted to do was be a photographer. I wanted to simplify because, man, I had too much stuff. Who's got too much stuff? Seriously. So, yeah, these are all the things. So this is all about creating Bella 2.0. And I want to share my experience of what I did to do it, okay? Maybe the slide will work. Okay. I had to undertake some thinking and some self-study. And one of the really cool things that I figured out is that I need to create some principles around what it's actually like to recreate your new version. So you're upgrading your operating system. What do you actually have to do to upgrade your operating system? So one of these things was that I needed to believe that I could become a master of my mind. Now, at this stage in my life, I seriously wasn't a master of my mind because I was having destructive thoughts about 30% of the time. And I was pretty much in the shits, to be honest. And so I knew that in order to actually upgrade my operating system, I had to actually upgrade my operating system, my brain. Now, I knew nothing about this, and I was like, okay, someone sort of said to me, well, maybe there's something around some stuff to do with like controlling your thoughts and stuff. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Tell me more. And someone said, if you control your thoughts, right, and you choose to accept a thought or not, that actually manifests to your feelings, which manifests to your emotions, which manifests to your behaviors, which manifests to your habits. And I was like, holy shit, okay, man, mind stuff, all right. Now, at this stage, I had never heard of words like neuroplasticity. Can you just, by a show of hands, put your hand up if you know what neuroplasticity is? Awesome, so about half the room. Okay, so I'm a management consultant, or I was, so I like things to be proven. So basically what happened is someone told me about this science at a retreat, and it told me that I could rewire my brain. And I was like, man, this is super cool. Rewire my brain. I like this idea. So anyway, I went about learning everything I can about rewiring my brain, which means that when a thought comes into my mind, I have an active choice to accept or disregard it. Now, it sounds really simple, and it actually kind of is. So I spent all of my moments for quite some time while I was broken thinking about how to control my thoughts and actually starting to control them. And after about 6 months, I started to see a meaningful change because my brain and the neuroplasticity was actually recreating new bridges in my brain, which I thought was super cool. And so I started becoming more aware and awake to my thoughts. I also studied a lot of yoga. And yoga talks about mindfulness, which is about a similar sort of concept to neuroplasticity, but much more sort of in the realm of ancient wisdom. So combining these two things and practicing them on an everyday basis, meditation and yoga, I started to create a healthier mind. The second operating principle, if I can get the slides to work, is that I should listen to and nurture my body. Now, has anyone been sick a lot in the audience? Just like repeatedly ill? Yeah, okay. So we have like 100 trillion cells in our body. And when we're sick, they're screaming at us. So they're like little transmitters that are basically telling us to do something or change something because the way that our operating system is working is not very effective. Yeah? So I started studying a lot more science, and I started studying things like fascia and understanding what role fascia has, and it's part of everything that we have inside ourselves. And I realized that if I did more yoga and I stretched my body, I would become more flexible in my life. And so I did a whole load more of yoga. And actually, when I first started yoga, I couldn't bend to my knees. And now I'm a yoga teacher, believe it or not. But what I found is that when I did more yoga, I became more flexible in my life in general, which was actually my fascia readjusting and releasing emotional and psychological trauma. So that was another big aha moment. Okay. The next thing that I worked out is that, silly me, that I should actually fall in love with myself first. And taking it by those emotions that I was feeling, I don't think I love myself very much because I was feeling crap all the time. And I figured that if I loved myself, I wouldn't be feeling crap and I'd have way better feelings about myself and about others. I also realised that I needed to get way more courageous and actually start doing the hell what I loved because I was always afraid because I was earning the big bucks, had a big ego, had a big bank balance, and all I did was care about how much I was getting paid and not much else. So I didn't actually think very much or feel very much. I just was on autopilot, like I'm sure some of us have been in the room. The final principle that I started to think about and started engaging was that the way I spend my time defines who I am. And also the people that I spend time with defines who I am. So they do say that the top 5 people that you spend the most time with are who you are. So if you're not happy with your life, then start thinking about who you're spending time with and spend time with people that actually make you happier. Serious, yeah? It's a no-brainer, okay? Okay, so these are some principles, right? And then, like a true builder's daughter and a management consultant, I decided to build a house because I was completely lost. My whole world had fallen apart. I had no idea what I was going to do, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. I didn't know what I wanted in my life. I had no clue, like many of us, just running on autopilot, going about our business. So I built a model for happiness, for creating happiness. All right. I'm just going to explain it to you. I did this with a girlfriend of mine. She's actually, unfortunately, in Singapore tonight. But I created a house and I decided that for 12 months, I was actually going to fill my house and decorate my rooms and create an experience that was replicating like what I wanted to feel in my life. So all those core desired feelings that I had, I just started writing lists. I started writing lists about how I wanted to play because I wasn't playing very much. I was bored. I was in a dead-end life, yeah? I wasn't living. I was just existing. So I filled my rooms with things like sailing, because I love sailing, doing yoga, learning how to put makeup on because I was a tomboy and I never wore makeup. Dancing a lot. So many of you in the room that are my friends that have been to my apartment have had some spontaneous dance-offs with me in the last couple of years. I also decided that one of the key rooms in my house was my nurture model. So this was all around how I was going to nurture my mind, body and spirit. And I've spoken a lot about that, so I won't dwell on it. It's very clear: yoga, meditation, NLP, things like that. And then I decided about connection and what sort of community I wanted to create around me, who I wanted to spend time with, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to learn from the world, what I wanted to give to the world. So I started creating community and I started spending time all around the world actually learning from other women about how they created a life that they loved. And then I decided that an important part of the house is dreams. But you know what? How many people, by a show of hands, think dreams is something that is out there to be had later on? Awesome. I love you all. No one put their hand up. Wicked. So basically, I decided that I was going to live my dreams here and now. And I was going to take some time out of my life and I was actually going to focus on making my dreams real. And that I didn't put the roof on for 12 months, my purpose, because like Abby, I had no idea what my purpose was. I was like, but I decided that I wasn't going to just sit around and try and figure it out. I was actually going to go out and experience and do everything I loved for 12 months to get an understanding of what my purpose possibly could be. And there's one thing I missed, but I want to talk about it. And it touches what Abby said around understanding your foundation needs and your values, yeah? Because without that foundation, you have no idea where you're running. You're an autopilot. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want from this world. So starting with a really strong, solid foundation and getting an understanding of what that is will help you build a firm foundation and a beautiful new house, okay? Then, I love this slide clicker. It's rocking my world right now. Okay. So I set off and I did 12 projects in 12 months. I created projects in line with my values, passions, talents and dreams. I executed them by tying into the core desired feelings that I wanted to create for myself. Now there's some wacky, fun stuff that went on during this particular year. And some of you in the room have been part of those experiences. So I took 4 months off and I travelled the world and I visited a lot of Buddhist countries and I interviewed a lot of women in Buddhist countries because I was really fascinated with Buddhism and asked them what inspired their life. How did they become authentic? I took photos of these women and many of the women that I photographed have been in this presentation. I did things like B-School. and I'm going to raise B-School. So some lovely B-Schoolers here. I learned how to create an online venture. I did all sorts of amazing stuff. I reconnected with my love of sailing. I basically did all this stuff, right? And what was really interesting is that I was doing it off firm foundations because I'd built the nurture model for my house and I knew exactly where I was going and what I wanted to do, but no clue where all this was going to lead, right? So there was times when I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? Like, I have no idea. I'm just going to play. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to connect with people. But it wasn't all just shits and giggles, hey? So one thing I did do is I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to spend a cent of my savings to do this experiment and that I had to fund it out of cash flow. So I did lots of photography jobs. It was fantastic. I photographed women all around the world. I photographed corporate clients. I did a whole bunch of really fun stuff, hey? Still with the vision that I was actually going to trust and let go, that the universe was going to deliver an opportunity smack bang in my face, and that it was going to be completely aligned with my values and talents. And yes, so that's it, okay? So what I'd like everyone to do right now is I just want you to take 60 seconds. Everyone has a pad and a pen on their seat. And I would absolutely love for you to write down in the next 60 seconds as many things as you can about what you'd actually like to do to create a more authentic you in the next 12 months, okay? It can be anything, anything. So just go, right? Clock's on now, yeah? Okay, can everyone hear me okay? And I want you to make this a real commitment to yourself, guys, because this is about taking action and taking it now to create a life that is you, yeah? Not someone else. So please write down 12 things that you would like to do in the next 12 months that are going to nurture and develop. And just know that the very first 2 or 3 things that you wrote down on your piece of paper, without even thinking about it, are the cool things that you should be engaging in the next 12 months. Because what's really super interesting about this exercise is usually what comes out first is what you're meant to do. So make a commitment. So turn to your neighbor right now and tell them that you're going to make a commitment to create a more authentic you. I love it. We should just be running like a mini workshop. So if you leave with one thing tonight, other than a new friend, which maybe is your neighbour, you're leaving with a number of things that you can do to create a more authentic life. So you're probably wondering what happened, because like I said at the beginning of this presentation, I was like quite directionless, hey? My shit was like hitting the fan. I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life. And it's kind of 12 to 18 months on. So the little experiment has still going, but it has largely come to some fruition. So here's my new house. And I want to just talk about the impact of being in good emotion and what difference that can have in your world. So I'll give you an example of something that happened during this 12 months. So my very first love and passion is the water and the ocean. And my mum's here tonight, and she told me when I was a little girl and I first saw the ocean, I ran into it. Like, I was 18 months, and I just absolutely pelted into the ocean. I'd never seen the ocean before. And basically what happened was, I was an ocean lover. I was born to be in the ocean. So I started sailing as a kid, and I spent a lot of years sailing. I had a fantastic time sailing. And then at 30, I quit, because my body was broken because of all this other stuff that I'd written up on the board here. And at 37 this year, I decided as one of my projects that I wanted to start sailing again. And I did. And not only did I start sailing again, I started sailing again with a few people in this room. We went out sailing. We had a whole bunch of fun. And I decided I wanted to enter World Championships, which I hadn't done for about 8 years. And I was in such a beautiful place in my life, and I felt so much joy and love for something, sailing, that I went out and 2 months ago won a World Championships. Now, that's all good, eh? Like, it's pretty cool. Some people in the room were there when I actually won, and I'd like to acknowledge Shona, she's down there. But what was really cool about this experience is that it taught me something. And it taught me about when you are in love with yourself and you have joy and you have passion in your life, you are freaking unstoppable. So just big hand to yourselves to acknowledge that within yourselves, yeah?
Oh, I made it up. Thank you so much, Bella, for the introduction. And I just have to start with saying it's so incredibly amazing and inspiring to share this room with so many gorgeous and beautiful and inspiring women. And it's so incredibly exciting because my name is Elise, and Bella asked me to just share very briefly. So it'll be a snapshot of my journey that has been incredibly similar to Bella's and many others that we've heard tonight. I was in this whole corporate, carousel of doing international careers all around the world, just striving for the next sort of paycheck or the next career move or the next step, and really loving it, doing 16-hour days, 6 days a week. I think somewhere you need to love what you do, but something was missing. And I think this is where it gets interesting, because this is where sort of my journey is a little different. My natural instinct, and I guess I have a few friends here who knows me very well, know that I'm a very sort of black and white, extreme type of all or nothing personality. But what I started doing is making little choices and just little changes that were all sort of based on value-driven decisions. So yoga, for example, was one of those things. I started doing more and more yoga. I went into doing my yoga teacher training, which is actually where Bella and I connected even more. And with that, I came into a position where I was like, well, there's something more I can do. And all of a sudden, I actually ended up quitting my job, but going into a position that was a 4-day-week position. And ironically enough, making more money doing 4 days a week. And most importantly, creating that space for more room, for more freedom, for more whatever it is that was important in my life at that time. And this is where, for example, A Million Smiles came along in my life. And, who wouldn't want to be along on a project where we can help and share more joy and happiness along the whole world and just building that community. So if anything that I can share tonight, because sometimes it can be a little daunting with, like I want to change my life and I want to do all of this and I want to do all of that, but it's actually enough to start with something. Choose one little thing, one thing of the list of 12 or maybe 1 or 3 or 5 things that you wrote on your list, and start changing that one thing and make that commitment to yourself. Someone said very wisely one day that Rome wasn't built in a day, and our little happiness houses will not be built in a day either. Thank you very much.
I just want to leave everybody with this quote. And this is where things get a little emotional for me, because this is where it all started. So 2 years ago, when I was broken, I went to Gwingana and I met Angela, who's actually sitting here in the front row. And she folded up this little piece of paper and she gave it to me, and it had this little quote on it. And this is what set alight my journey. So just take a moment to think about someone really special to you that is empowering you. And just take that moment to think about you and what you want in this world. And that we're all here to create our own lives, upgrade our operating systems, have more fun, be more passionate. And the final verse, do whatever your heart leads you to do, but just do it. So thanks, Ange. I can't believe I'd be standing up here today, 2 years later, talking about this. But yeah, it's happening. So I just want to acknowledge you all. And if you want to talk to me about how I did this, or get any more insights into the stories that I've got, and you want to upgrade your own operating system and you want to talk to someone, then feel free to come and grab me, okay, later on. Thank you.